Hi, everyone. Awesome. Everyone's here, and I hope everyone's here. Hello, welcome. Once again, this is Lourdes Murillo at Latinas in Tech, and I am the chapter leader, and I welcome you this great afternoon in partnership with Taco Bell, which is so exciting. Let's give it 2 minutes for everyone to join, and also for everyone that's coming in right now, please for courtesy, mute your sounds if you guys can. And then if you guys have any questions, we are going to do a Q&A. Please add all your questions in the chat. And we highly encourage you guys, obviously, to ask any questions. So let's give it 2 minutes if we can. Let's get everyone settled in. Or I'm going to give it a minute and a half or less than a minute. All right, why don't we talk about Latinas in Tech and our mission? Some of you might know, might not know our mission. And what Latinas in Tech is, it's a nonprofit organization with a mission to create tech industry like Latinas for us to be well represented in all levels and within the ecosystem of tech, and making sure that we empower them to be innovators and leaders. And our goal is to provide resources and opportunities for Latinas to drive and to be able to innovate and lead in tech. And if any of you are curious about becoming part of Latinas in Tech, join us. Here's all the information. If you're interested in joining us right now, we're a community of 22,000 members. Is a community of women and allies from all across the country and also internationally. And if you're interested in any of our chapters, obviously go to latinasintech.org. We have a list of chapters in there. And make sure that you could become a member, or if you're interested in knowing more about our mission, all the information is in there. I think we're already have a couple minutes in, so I'll pass this over to Vadim Perisher, who is the Vice President of Technology at Taco Bell.
All right. Sound check. Everybody can hear me? All right. Awesome. I'm super excited to have you as part of this event. Super excited to be invited to speak to this group. I hope this event is going to be an exciting, informative. I'm counting that you're going to learn something new about us, and seriously hoping that you're going to get a chance to introduce yourself, ask your questions, really learn. It's about learning, and it's about a very inclusive learning. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been with Taco Bell for 6 years now, almost 6 years. Came from outside of industry, didn't know too much about working in technology in the restaurants. But been in technology basically all my professional life. Just kind of stepping back, we are a very inclusive organization. We're very passionate about it. I myself came into this country as an immigrant. I actually came as a refugee with my family, and we built our lives here. And I happen to be in technology, and technology is one of the spaces that really is where you can come in from different backgrounds, be very successful. And today I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about Taco Bell. Why Taco Bell and why technology? I think people ask me that all the time when I started working here. You took a job where at Taco Bell. Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool. And everybody has a smile. So one thing we have going for us is when you say you're working for Taco Bell, the most common response is a smile. People may or may not be impressed. I think they will be, they are eventually. But their very first response is, oh, this is so cool. and we'll try to unpack it. We'll try to talk a little bit more about, well, what makes it so cool, and what makes it so cool for technology professionals, as well as somebody who is, maybe changing career and entering into technology, and why do we really care about, creating organization that is leading in inclusion and diversity, and really building the organization for the future. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm getting a lot of highs in the chat session. Perhaps just start with just getting us all warmed up before we pass it on. India, we had some prepared video, right? I just want to get everybody in the right mood. So why don't we start with that? It's got music, it's got some tech, and I'll talk a little bit about it and then pass it on to fantastic presenters today.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. We'll get to Sharon in a minute. Let me just talk for a few minutes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is good. So what did we see here? Well, we see the best restaurant in the world. This is what we call Taco Bell Defy. And it's an example of where we're going as a brand. We've always been very famous for our food. We've been very famous for our marketing. We've been very famous for our brand. But in this day and age, you have to be really good with technology. Certainly, if you talk about retail, it's no brainer. But this restaurant actually shows you what you can do when you get the technology right. A customer can be in and out in under 2 minutes. In fact, in about 90 seconds. There's a lot of things that have to be done right for it to make it work. And we have a large team of technology professionals on all different levels and all different specializations to put it all together. You've seen there the mobile app. Our mobile app is one of the most downloaded mobile apps in the world. We get over 10 million downloads every single year on that. On some days, we get downloaded more than Facebook. I think everybody would agree that Facebook is a pretty tech-savvy company. You've seen the customer placing an order on that app. When they arrive at the restaurant, there was a check-in station for them. So, oh, thank you. Yes, ding bells. Yeah, we're very proud of those of the bong. That's very cool. So they arrived at the station and they've been able to check themselves in. There's a lot of tech that needs to happen, to accept that, to send that all the way to the kitchen and say, hey, that customer is actually here. The order already arrived by that time. So we have to facilitate that data transfer. The food is made at the right time when the customer is there. You can't make it too early. You can't make it too late. No offense to Amazon, they got 24 hours to get it to your doorstep. We have 5 minutes to get it there. So things are happening, and they're happening very dynamic, very fast, and at the extremely, extremely high volumes. And so that food was made upstairs. You can look at this restaurant. You can see that there's no kitchen downstairs. That's where the cars are. And we can do 4 cars at a time. And then food is made upstairs, and it comes down on a lift. It's a pneumatic lift. I'm gonna make up the word if I didn't say it, if I didn't pronounce it correctly. And that lift, brings the food all the way down to a customer. But wait, it also opens the door at the right level, because the car could be a sports car and it's very low and low riding, and then it could be a truck or a van and it could be very high riding. So it actually senses where the customer is at, and it stops that lift at exactly the right point. So you can just reach out your window grab the food, and on the way you go. I can talk about this for a few hours because that's how much tech goes into making something like this happen. But, the host only allocated me, 5 minutes. The result is that we get a lot of things that we're working on, and some of it is really, really cool, like this. You don't get to work on this anywhere in the world except at Taco Bell. And there's a lot of different people that make this happen. You'll hear about all different opportunities from a career standpoint. We're very serious about bringing people who are passionate. They're passionate about being here. They're passionate about growing their careers. They're passionate around people that surround them and, creating really a culture that we can all, wake up in the morning and be really excited about going to work. This is my office, by the way. I'm in the office today. We have a lot of people working remote. Some people work hybrid. Some people work mostly from the office. You can see I surround my office with a lot of Taco Bell memorabilia. You'll see a lot of it. You'll probably get your first T-shirt on the first day that you join here, and that's how we are. But I just want to bring it back and say, hey, there's a lot of different aspects that usually bring people here, and some of it has to do with people and culture that we built. And the other aspect of it is really cutting edge technology that we get to work with. We feel very fortunate, and we really want to share it with as many people as we can and really bring the top 10 here that can allow us to be successful way, way, way into the future. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to India. I know you guys really want to hear the meats. And I'll be here the rest of the evening and try to answer as many questions as possible. Feel free to reach out, and good luck with have fun. Most of it, have fun. We're having fun. You should be having fun with this session. And thank you, India, for the invitation.
Thank you, Vadim. I appreciate it and all the information you've shared so far. We're going to have breakout sessions in a little bit towards the end of the session. You'll get to interact with a variety of different Taco Bell employees. You'll get to talk with Vadim again, and then some of my TA partners, and then other Taco Bell people that will be here. But the next slide we're going to go to, I'm going to pass it over to my partner, Sharon. She is the Director of Talent Acquisition and our fearless leader. So Sharon, I'll pass it to you.
You're on mute, Sharon.
I mean, it's only been 3 years. But hello, everyone. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I am so excited that we get to have this event and this chance to meet all of you tonight. Before I get started, I want to make sure that there's nobody in the waiting room, because I have some really good stuff to share and I don't want anybody to miss. So are we all clear on the waiting room?
We are still getting people joining us in, but no worries, continue on. As mentioned, this is going to be recorded, so anybody who does miss the meet, we'll share afterwards.
Perfect, and I will speak slowly. My name is Sharon Hawkins, and I am the Director of Talent here at Taco Bell. I have been with this illustrious organization for a little over a year. I joined, and I can truly tell you I have found my happy place. This has been an amazing ride for the last year, and I am really excited to share with you what makes Taco Bell's Live Más culture so amazing, and talk to you why you're here tonight. So we're hosting this event because we want to introduce you to what we lovingly call the Bell. We are thrilled that you have taken some time out of your evening to join us. We know that you probably had a busy day, but to spend your evening learning about us is really something that we don't take lightly, and we are really grateful for you wanting to spend this time with us. I'm also pleased that we have some amazing leaders who have really invested in this partnership, and they have joined us tonight. In the chats, very busy, is our Chief Technology Officer, Steve Plank. So if you all see his name pop up and you want to give him a quick hello, he's in that chat. So please make sure that you give him a shout out, because he is really has been instrumental in forging and helping make this partnership a reality. A year ago today, it didn't exist, but with his insight and vision, we've been able to really have this partnership just take life. So tonight, again, you're going to have the chance to listen to some amazing leaders, You'll have a chance to engage with some hiring managers. You'll be able to connect with our talent acquisition team. And in order to make this the best experience possible, we ask that you do a couple things. Number one, engage. Stay busy in that chat. Ask questions. Explore opportunities with us. You'll have a chance to really talk to the people who help decide your career opportunities with us. So don't let that pass you by, and make sure that you take advantage of that. You're going to be able to jump into some breakout rooms, and in each of those breakout rooms, there will be a talent acquisition partner there. And their goal is to help make sure that you have a robust conversation, that we answer questions for you, and that more than anything, we inspire you to want a career at Taco Bell. And it wouldn't be Taco Bell if we didn't have a little fun, because we are all about that fun. We want you to have a chance to win some amazing prizes. So there'll be some, if you're a Taco Bell historian, then you're going to get a chance to show off and maybe walk away with a couple of prizes as well. So make sure that you stay on top of those quiz opportunities that are going to pop up in your breakout rooms. So what exactly does Taco Bell do besides serve delicious food? And y'all have to agree, delicious food, we are that. And if you can, drop in the chat what your favorite Taco Bell item is, so that we can get that underway and maybe get an order or two going. Well, we hire amazing talent. And to make this amazing food happen, we have to have amazing talent. We grow people's careers, we foster innovation, and more than anything, we challenge the status quo. We consider ourselves cultural rebels at heart. We want to do things different and disrupt this industry as much as possible. We are a global leader, as you heard Vadim talk about, in this quick service restaurant space, and we need to make sure that we have the right talent to ensure that our 8,200 restaurants throughout the world are able to meet our fans' demand for our food. And so that means that we have to be able to provide cutting edge experiences to our customers, making sure that we meet them where they are, whether that be on their phones, in the drive-through, and certainly in our lobbies. And just as much as we're invested in that customer experience, we are equally invested in your experience as a candidate, and hopefully one day as an employee in our restaurant support center, which is located in Irvine. We offer a variety of career opportunities. We have our people division, operations, finance, international. If you're somebody that works abroad, and I know that this organization does have a global presence, we have international opportunities as well. Our development team, our legal, our marketing, the food innovation people, those are the ones that come up with all these great ideas. And of course, the reason why we're here tonight, to talk about our digital and tech opportunities. We are going to celebrate innovation tonight. And more than that, we're going to celebrate this amazing partnership with Latinas in Tech. It is not an accident that we chose this organization. We did a lot of research. We looked high and low, but this was the organization that stood out, because we know that Latinas in Tech is committed to working hard to bridge the gap that limits access to women, and more specifically, women of color, to tech careers. And I want you to know, and I want you to know from Steve's mouth and from my mouth, that we are really intentional about making an effort to solve that gap. We want to be part of the solution. And so this partnership is really a great effort for us to do that. So tonight, you are here, Latinas in Tech members. You are here in a place where you are welcomed, you are embraced for your unique differences, your unique backgrounds and experiences. So I'm telling my TA team, who are all on this call, get ready. We are going to have a whole bunch of applications after tonight, and we're going to engage this group of people and make sure that we put them next to the opportunities that they want to be next to. And for our Latinas in Tech members, please see what a day in the life at Taco Bell could be if you choose to begin or continue your career with us. And that's going to be shared with you by our teammate, Kelsey. So if you wouldn't mind, please roll the video.
A day in my life at Taco Bell HQ. As I head into the building, I of course stop at the front desk to enter into a drawing for a free car wash. Then I head upstairs and get my desk all set up before quickly heading over to the studio to watch the film team do what they do best. Then I took a couple meetings before getting hungry and heading down to lunch for our free lunch Thursdays. Today we had this summer barbecue. It was absolutely delicious. It had so many options, and here's my plate. We also have a Taco Bell in the office, which is super convenient for both breakfast and lunch. Then I headed back upstairs to finish some work before packing up for the day and heading down to the gym. Today I opted in for some running and some weights before getting really thirsty and heading over to the employee lounge. Always love ending the day at the lounge because you get one free beer or wine, and today I opted for beer, and that's my day. Thanks for coming with me to Taco Bell HQ. A day in my life at Taco Bell. A day in my life at Taco Bell.
So I'm sure y'all want to work here now. I'm going to pass it back to India, who's going to keep the program going, but I look forward to chatting with you and meeting some of you in the breakouts shortly. Have a great one.
Perfect. Thank you, Sharon. Up next, we have some panelists that are going to be introducing themselves. Before we get into that and the thought-provoking questions, I'd love to do an icebreaker with everybody. If we can start off with Madia, I would love to learn about your favorite Taco Bell menu item. Carrying on from Sharon, that's one of our favorite questions here. An introduction about yourself, a little bit more about your role. And then I have one more question, which I'll lead at the end, but take it away.
Of course. Well, I have to say my favorite item are the nacho fries. They're just so close to my heart. I've been working on fries for a long time, and I just like go crazy whenever they're back on the menu. But a little bit about me, my name is Maria. I'm a creative soul and social strategist. I've been in content and marketing for 9 years, and I just have this passion for storytelling and trends. I started my career in tech over 9 years ago at a little startup that became Uber before joining Taco Bell as a social strategist. And a little bit about social at Taco Bell. Well, we are always looking for new trends. We're always trying to be ahead of the curve and just collaborate and partner with influencers and creators that are just cultural rebels. And that's a lot of our Latino community as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here today. My last question for you is, if you could time travel, would you go to the past or future, and what era?
Oh my God. I feel like I would go to the future. I'm not sure why or what era, but I would just want to see when I'm able to like drive like a flying car or something like that, because I'm just like not getting used to traffic at all yet.
It's a California thing. It takes a minute. The traffic, it's a lot. Totally feel you there. Up next, I would love to pass it over to Malia. Favorite Taco Bell menu item, and then introduction of yourself. And then if you have the answer to that question too, I'd love to hear your response.
All right, India. Well, hello everyone. Happy Taco Tuesday. Malia Ali, Director of Technology. I think my favorite Taco Bell menu item has to be Crunch Wrap. I see a lot of Crunch Wrap friends in the chat there, so good choice. You have good taste. I've been with the brand for about 6-7 years now, which is time has flown by so fast, and hands down, this has been my favorite job I've ever had. I came from a world of consulting, and also worked in a couple other industries, and probably I've worked for about 12 different companies, and Taco Bell is just the most fun, and where I've grown the most and done the most interesting things. I started off my education as an engineer, but quickly learned after taking one CS class and doing Hello World, I don't think you want me really coding technology or hands on keyboard, but I just have a love of tech. And so ever since college, really found a place within kind of like product management, project management, working really closely with developers and engineers, but still having a little bit of knowledge of the underlying technology that helps us build some pretty cool products. So very excited to be here and meet all of you. We'll talk a little bit further, I'm sure, in the panel and the breakout rooms. But I guess, sorry, India, you had one last question. It was past or present?
Yeah.
Where would I want to go? I have to go past, I guess. I mean, there's just so many different cool decades, but goodness, this is a tough question. I don't know. Maybe the dinosaurs. It's a terrible answer, but That's actually probably a really terrible answer because that's a very dangerous time to go, but it would be kind of cool to see before technology.
It would be the best
Inventing
answer.
the wheel. I would want to invent the wheel. Just kidding. Okay. Next up.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sylvina, if we could kick it off to you next, and the same questions would be great.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Silvina here. This accent is from Argentina. So happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Hola to everybody. Doing some Spanglish there. So Silvina, I joined Taco Bell a little bit over a year ago. I share Malia's excitement, really so much fun. So happy that I'm here, so many opportunities. And especially when you think about tech, I'm in the digital team. So I'm leading the customer marketing strategy team. So we're at the epicenter of really understanding all the customer data that we have and really trying to bring, the best possible experience and creating really relationship with our customers, understanding how we can advance all that, and we can bring all the fun that we're talking, everywhere, and especially using technology to leverage all that and build those relationships. Today, they do happen, in our hands, in the palm of our hands. So really excited on what it is ahead. My journey in tech, my background is in economy. So I specialize in econometric analysis. So really data is my thing, and data has been my thing ever. I've done a lot of consulting before. I also didn't have experience specifically in the industry, even though I did work with some other food companies in the past a little bit, but super excited to be here. Did I cover everything? I need the past of the future, right?
Yeah, do you see your favorite menu item too?
Oh, the Mexican pizza. I was one of those like, yes, it's coming back. It was actually at the same time that I joined the company a little bit. It was before, so I was really excited that I didn't have to ask for it to come back. So where I will go, I will say to the past. I'm a Latina, so family is key. I lost my parents, so I think I will go back to meet them again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvina. That was fantastic. Daniel, if you could round us out, that would be great.
Sure. So my name is Daniel Fregoso. I've been with Taco Bell now about a year and a half. And so I look after all of technology for international. Cool fun fact, I actually just lived in Singapore. So Taco Bell sent me to Singapore for 6 months. And so I did a little assignment internationally. Turns out that the Asian community isn't that different than the Latino community. And so happy to have a conversation after the fact. So favorite Taco Bell item, pues tacos, right? We're a taco company, and so I love Doritos Locos Tacos. And to future or past, I would say past, and I'm gonna go with 80s, because even though I was born in the 80s, and there were so many cool things that came out, like Back to the Future, Star Wars, like things that I absolutely love. The Bears won the Super Bowl in '84. I'm from Chicago. And so, but like I was too young to really like understand the excitement, right? Michael Jordan, like I saw it after the fact. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it. I would love to get into some questions first. Sylvina, can I tap you in for our first question?
Definitely.
Okay. So the first question is, what inspired you to pursue a career in technology or digital? And can you share any challenges you face as a Latina in this field?
Definitely. That's a really great and deep question, I think, for a Latina to ask. So a little bit of my journey, and I think I was sharing before how it started, it was a little bit of a progression. As I mentioned, my background is in economy, and what I specialized in was in the econometric field. So I was teaching statistics at the University of Buenos Aires. And when I started my corporate world, it was really as a consultant for business and, in marketing. And at that time, and I asked myself, why marketing? And that will be like the answer to this question. I really fell in love with marketing at the time because there was so much room to apply data science in new and innovative ways when you think about really marketing, especially if we think about 20 years ago, and I'm aging myself big time here. So when we think about, the way that data and the tech revolution and how things have changed, which it has been, exponential in the last 20 years, which is the bulk of my career up to today. And if, of course, it keeps accelerating, that's really what truly inspired me then, and it still inspires me today. There's so much potential to bring data-driven solutions to what we're doing and to revolutionize any industry, and especially with anything that tech really touches. So I'm very lucky, as I was mentioning, I'm here at Taco Bell. I'm leading, this customer marketing strategy, which is something very new when you think about marketing. And there's just so many opportunities, and we're really creating, walking the walk together. So it's extremely exciting in that sense. So that's a little bit of the journey on why I'm landing here. And the second part, I think, from your question was if there was any challenge as a Latina. So I will start breaking that down a little bit, because when we think about Latina, we're talking about Hispanic, Latin, and we're talking about being a woman. So I think we're talking about two challenges that come packed in one. And of course, there have been a lot of challenges, especially when you think about representation and inclusivity in the past. Especially going back to when I started back in Argentina, being a woman in the field of economy, it wasn't really a thing. It was not common. When I graduated, it was just 3 of us that we were graduating. So there was a lot of adjustment that I had to do. And to be honest here with all of you, back in the day, I have to start trying to fit in more than I would have liked. So that was really my first experience, my first challenge, where I realized that being a woman was really not the norm, especially in these type of environments. Then when I came to the US, I added another flag to my profile, which was the one of being Latina. So having an accent, of course, if you think I have an accent now, you should have heard me 20 years ago. It was very thick, and I could communicate, but it's still, it was in me, and the accent was there. And for a while, I actually tried to remove the accent, trying to fit in, until I realized that probably I was not going to be able to remove it. And also removing it was going to be a little bit of removing a part of myself. I needed to be understood, but then I think I could keep my accent as long as I was speaking, good English. So those are all external challenges. And I was, it's important. And I think something that carried me through, it's just being Latina. Latinos in general, we are well known for being very resilient. And that's, I think, what I put in there, regardless of, how hard it is, what you see in front of you, you just keep going and you keep doing it. So I do think that's one of our superpowers that we have, and something that we bring also to the table when we are in any environment that we are. We are just resilient with whatever we are doing. So we don't see, the problem. We try to see where is the opportunity to overcome it. So that really my challenge, I think it's not so much on the external. It was also internally, really believing in myself, and don't letting those differences or the things that I saw and I noticed, and as I mentioned, the accent, not letting them limit me, and embracing that and just running with it and bringing the beauty of what that brings to the table.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was great insight to your experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people resonate with what you just shared. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Malia, I would love to pass it over to you with the similar question, just coming from the tech background. Have you had any challenges that you faced being a woman in tech?
Yeah, I'd say I think my story is a little different. Well, I went to engineering school at Harvey Mudd. I was always a kid that would choose, Legos over playing with a doll any day, gravitated more towards math and sciences, and, kind of felt that engineering maybe was the only way I could pursue a career in technology. And really wasn't until I graduated and I found this whole new world of digital and consulting and the ability to build some cool solutions for, customers. that solve real business problems through technology. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a whole nother world of career opportunities in tech. But in pursuing or being in tech in my whole career, and even in college, of course, there's many times where you look around the room and you realize you're the only girl, you're the only woman in the meeting. And I think it's really what you do after you realize that can make all the difference. Early in my career, when I kind of felt that way, I'll be honest, I kind of prided myself on being the only girl in a world of tech. I thought maybe it's a little rebel in me, and I thought, yeah, I'm doing something other girls don't want to do, or I'm gonna break the barrier. But I think I kind of maybe took it a little to the extreme, where I found myself trying to be one of the boys. And I would, I wanted to be the girl that drank whiskey and smoked cigars and played golf. And honestly, I kind of enjoy some of those things. But what I found I was doing is I was kind of squashing the more feminine side of me. And I'll give you an example. I will be the first to admit I can be pretty emotional. Like there are, the sad commercial comes on TV and I will cry so quickly. And you can't really show that kind of emotion at work sometimes. And I'm not saying I cry at work every day, but I've learned to not squash that side of me and use that kind of empathy, the motherlyhood, motherly aspect of myself, and put that into my leadership. How do I care for my team and show heart for others? And that's not something that I should be ashamed of. That's a part of being a woman and being a girl and just being me that I've learned to try to, shape and use instead of, being afraid that, oh, that's going to show weakness. And so I think that's maybe one of the challenges personally I found, especially being a woman in tech. And I just encourage everyone, we talk a lot at Taco Bell about being your true authentic self. And I think, I think that is the key to just being successful no matter what industry you go into.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Malia. That is great insight. And you truly are your authentic self. So you are embodying that. And thank you for calling that out, because it is something that is very special to Taco Bell, and just bringing that light forward is fantastic. The next question, Daniel, if I can call on you first, and then Madia, I'd love to call on you second to get two different perspectives. But can you share a success story or accomplishment in your tech career that you are particularly proud of, and how your background as a Latino contributed to this achievement?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to try and take a slightly different spin on this, because it's like, sure, I could talk about things that I've accomplished, but so first, I think it might help if you all kind of understand my purpose and my passion, right? And so we'll start with passion, right? My passion is technology. And I actually found my passion in technology by becoming a musician. And so I went to music school, all of that, and then I found Apple computers in the music lab. So I think when you think about that, and then you go to purpose, and my purpose really gets to be helping others and finding my best self. And so when you think about where I came from, which is just this Mexican kid who is having a hard time being accepted, making friends. I was learning English at the same time my parents were learning English, right? My parents having to go to, school at night so that they could get naturalized and get their citizenship. And so I was this scared boy who didn't know how to be accepted, right? To now, fast forward, this leader at Taco Bell who's mentoring and coaching people. I sit on the board of directors for a non-for-profit organization that helps naturalized citizens in America. And it's something that I'm really proud of, and it all comes from my Latin heritage, right? And so you just think about I'm living my purpose and my passion today, which is technology, helping others, and really trying to find my best self. And one last little thing, I do love to run like a Mexican Forrest Gump. And so one accomplishment I am very proud of is that I did do rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon in April. And so that was pretty intense and pretty cool.
That is so impressive. How long did you have to train for a long time to do that?
Yes, it took me about 11 and a half hours or so.
Oh my gosh, man. Encouragement there. That is incredible. And thank you for telling us your story too. I really appreciate it. I know everyone that's on the Zoom with us right now also appreciates it. Madia, passing it over to you. I would love to hear a success story or accomplishment in your marketing career that you are particularly proud of, and how your background as a Latina contributed to this achievement.
Of course. I believe my proudest moment, or it's not just one, I feel like I have, not to brag, but a lot of proud moments. Whenever I push representation in our campaigns, I've been part of a lot of creative decisions, choosing from who we partner as like influencers, or just like like agency partners to like cast and creators, and giving opportunities to a lot of different people. And there's always gonna be opportunities to ask for diversity and ask for representation and everything. So whenever I achieve that, that's something that I'm the most proud of. I remember one time that, of course, in marketing, we also look a lot in data and what works best for our ads, and like everything, we want to get more clicks and stuff like that. So I remember one time it was really clear that between like an A/B test, there was a photo of a man and a photo of a woman. And I would say this was back at Uber, because it was like to get drivers. Obviously for Uber, the photo of the man drove more clicks and was like more bringing us more, signups. And I remember I had this conversation about like, do we want to keep pushing the same asset, or can we like explore and just like exploring different type of creative, and just like bringing illustration, or bringing, like if that's not a solution, you can bring into like, okay, we need to get more representation. There's always ways to get around it and to be creative, and just like as marketers, we can keep using that to leverage more options for us to get representation. Because I feel like what doesn't get represented doesn't get seen, and it just contributes to a bigger speech. Even at Taco Bell, I think, like, for example, we know that each post and each copy we send out is going to drive some conversation. So we want to push a little bit more on every day what we put out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Madia. That's very insightful. And it's nice to hear the marketing side and all the nuances that go into it, and how you attract new like talent that we're going to bring into the organization. So I appreciate that. Moving on to the next question, I'd love to tap in Malia again. The tech industry is consistently evolving. How do you stay updated on the latest trends and technologies? And what advice do you have for others looking to do the same?
Good question. There's such a large vast of information out there. If you want to learn about or stay up to date on really anything, I guess a couple of my favorite ways is I've signed up for a lot of different newsletters on various topics or industries or companies, and I kind of, they send out like nice little weekly recaps of highlights of what happened in that area throughout the week. So that's a nice way to just get some summary of updates of what's going on in your email box. LinkedIn and Google are great too. LinkedIn alerts. I follow a lot of different companies that I'm interested in, or setting Google alerts for certain key terms. So if anything interesting happens, you get notified automatically. But I'll be honest, one of my favorite sources of information, or just to kind of learn about new things or stay up to date, is actually YouTube. There is so much good content out there, and so many great content creators who are just leading experts in various technology trends or topics. I mean, it's no joke. You can literally learn anything on YouTube these days. And so I just personally am not a great reader, and I find video content to be a great way of learning. So that's where I've actually gotten a lot of my information. I think it's harder, more than, because information is just so vast now. It's more than getting access to information. It's more honestly having the time to really set aside and keep up to date on some of these changing trends because things are moving so fast. So I think that's probably my biggest advice to folks. It's just if you really just kind of have to commit and make time in your schedule to stay up to date. There's always you always make time for the things that you want to do, right? Like I don't have time to go to the gym, but I have time to watch Netflix. So I try to book time in my calendar to get caught up, or if I'm running, maybe I'll listen to a podcast, or my husband and I, during breakfast, we watch some of our YouTube favorite tech channels and updates. So anyway, those are just some of my personal things that I do that I found success, but encourage y'all to find what works for you.
I love it, Malia. And YouTube is such a good call out. Everything is on there. It is fantastic. It's such an easy way to learn. And honestly, carving out time for your development is so important. So setting aside time, like 30 minutes a day, just to focus and learn something new is always going to help you get to your next step in your career. So great call out there. My next question is going to go to Sylvina and Daniel. So just I'll go with Sylvina first, but mentorship and networking are important in any industry. Can you talk about the role of mentorship in your career and share advice on building a strong professional network?
Yeah, thank you. I love really this topic. I feel, mentorship have played such a key role in my journey. And I don't think I knew early on how important it is really to have those mentors around you. Mentorship a little bit came in waves for me. And I think at the beginning, it was, again, back I started in Argentina, there was not really that formalized that you needed to have mentors or something that you were told that you needed. I was very lucky, though, to have, now that I look back, been working with someone that it had, and it took that role. And it was very, intentional in really mentoring in different ways on how to behave, how to continue your career. And something that I learned from him early on, and it was in practice where I was working, it's really about every time that we were like growing the teams or really thinking about the team, he always welcomed, a different perspective to the table. In fact, that's how I started in marketing. It was because of him, because he chose me, because I didn't have specific experience on what I needed to do, but I was bringing a completely different perspective to the topic, to the table. So very early on, I was in this role with this multidisciplinary team, and I really learned firsthand the power of having really diverse perspective when you were thinking about something. And really that carried with me when I came to the States and, in everything that it comes with diversity and inclusion, because it's really a very similar concept. It's really about bringing this diversity and perspective and how enriching that is when you think about it, what you're doing. And it's just in your relationships as well. It does a lot of things. So I was mentioning that, this came a little bit in waves for me when I moved to the States, just because I was, radically changing countries. And even though I was connected to the company that I was working back in the States, I really landed without mentors, without really a net of people that I knew. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you a little bit of that story. It was early 2000s. I landed in New York City in the middle of, Soho, corporate America as it gets. And that far, my career was really in mostly Latin America and Europe. So it was Latin America, Central America, Europe, it was mostly Spain. So Latin. That's pretty much everything I knew when you think about, corporate context. So I land here, New York. It was me, and I think I met maybe 4 other Latinos in the building. So something that it happened really quickly to me, because nobody, especially in the discipline that I was doing, which was planning and analytics, nobody was Hispanic. So what happened to me, I think it was a little bit of survival mode. And it was a little bit what Malia, you were talking about. It's like I started like becoming more of what I was seeing around me. And it was a lot less of who I was. So I was a little bit, now that I look back, deeming myself and I was trying to speak in a different way. That was the time that I was trying to change my accent, not successfully, but I was trying like every day. Can I speak in a different way? Can I dress in a different way? You know, and it's just the way that you start portraying yourself. And let me tell you, that was not really fun for me because it was a little bit, you know, of trying to be something that I wasn't. I was definitely leading through my work, but I was just, you know, deeming my personality a lot. And I wish at that time I had a mentor that could actually help me bring perspective to what was happening. So for a long time, it didn't happen. Fast forward 10 years after, I, you know, have a bigger net. I knew a lot more people. I have, you know, a different network around me. And I actually got the opportunity to be a part of a mentorship program that was actually helping advance diversity in leadership. So it was actually giving, you know, a lot of tools and different ways just to help you navigate corporate America in a more, you know, be a lot more confident in doing that. So one of my experiences was actually I had a couple of public speaking training sessions with someone named Jean Crusher. And he's a very, you know, well-known coach, and he did a lot of congressmen and CEOs. So really he knew about corporate America and what that means. So I did my speech with him. We were talking, we have a one-on-one. I was talking with him. I prepared a little presentation and I did my speech. And when I finished, I'm like, was it good? You know, I really, you know, was prepared and I was doing the best that I could. And it was just so interesting because when I finished, he looked at me and he said, that was good, but where were you?
Mm.
And I was like, so he was referring at the same, where was the person that was talking to him before? And he completely noticed that I was a different person when I was talking, you know, corporate, or I was trying to pretend be something else. And that was really the very first time that I felt someone saw me for me and helped me realize what I was doing, that was not really helping me. And I was just, you know, trying to be something that I wasn't. And Malia, you were talking about enjoying some of those things when you were trying to fit in. I did enjoy some of them, but I don't think I think I could have had a lot more fun if I embraced myself a lot more, which is, you know, after that experience, it was the fully on embracing that. And this is like a long story, just to say it's so important to have mentors around you, people that know you, people that understand your journey, where you're going, where you're coming from. And I think it's very important to have mentors from different backgrounds. It's not just having, you know, the one that is Hispanic or the one that is not Hispanic. It's just look for different people. They could give you different perspectives. Again, full circle to me, it's, you know, bringing different perspectives in everything that we do. I think it's so enriching for everybody. And I think it's helpful and you're have more fun, hopefully.
Thank you, Sylvina. That is very insightful. And I think a theme that I'm hearing too is the authentic self. Don't lose yourself, but also I love the mentorship aspect. I would love to hear Daniel's piece to it too, and then I'll add a little bit more just from the mentorship and networking side from the recruiting standpoint. But I really appreciate all the information that you just shared because it is so helpful, and I know I'm learning a lot right now, so I'm so grateful. Daniel, if we could pass it over to you, it would be great to hear your insights as well on mentoring and networking that you've had throughout your career.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different ways to think about it. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate what a mentorship should be, right? It's almost like, do I have to put this like formal like bow on it and call it like a mentorship? Or is it really just like finding somebody who either has something you want, there's something that navigates you towards them, right? Maybe the way they work, maybe the way they treat others. Um, and I think it's okay to start, generating, I think what we call in the corporate world one-on-ones, right? And start building relationships with people. And so like I think there's different kinds of mentorships. So what I would say is like as you get into, whether this is your first job, whether you're making a pivot, whatever you're doing, right? Like just start to connect with people, because you're going to start to see the people that you really connect with And if you don't have the answers to that question that I brought up earlier, which is like, what's your purpose or what are your passions, right? Like, then navigate towards those things. Like, do people have something that I want? And start to ask yourselves, what are those things, right? And when I think about a mentorship, like, it really gets down to like, who am I? What do I want to be? And what am I doing about it? And it's your mentor helping you answer those questions. Now, like, who are you? That's really on you to be honest and transparent with the type of person you are. And you kind of like heard me say, like, I was a scared little boy when I was growing up, right? Like, and that's hard to admit as a 39-year-old like man, right? And so, but point is, like, the point of a mentor is to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, to get their advice. They're a coach, right? They're there to help give you some guidance. And if they're a really good mentor, they probably won't tell you what to do. They'll probably share their experiences and say, this is how it went for me, right? Take that for what it's worth. It might look different for you. And so, and then I think the other half of it, right, really gets down to what I think Ted Turner says this, Arnold Schwarzenegger says it, which is just like work like hell and advertise. And a mentor starts to be that person who can speak to your brand, who can help advertise some of the good that you're doing, some of the work that you're doing, bring some visibility. And so I think that, like, mentorship, networking, like, it's probably one of the most critical and key things to how you can be successful in the corporate world. Because I'll be honest, while everyone cares about what you get done, it's not about the what, it's about how you got it done, right? People don't care how much you know until you show them how much you care. And that's the name of the game right there, right? Connecting with people, finding new ideas, finding new thinking, growing yourself. Maybe in turn, there's some reverse mentoring, right? Where this leader might be learning from you and growing from you. And so I connect with some Gen Zs and I'm like, hey, help me understand the lingo, right? And so that's where I say, like, to me, it's probably the secret sauce or the secret ingredient to how you can really kind of grow your career in a corporate world, especially in a place like Taco Bell, where the special sauce is like how we, treat each other, the work environment where we can bring ourselves and collaborate. So yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate that. And I love the calling out of the one-on-ones, being intentional with your connections. You want to build as many relationships as possible because you never know when you can tap into that person again. You might be looking for a job at Taco Bell. We have openings. Feel free to apply and reach out to any one of us. But it starts here with making those intentional connections. Up next with we have a couple more questions here. I know we have a little bit more time left, but I would love to tap Sylvina. And I know you kind of touched on this earlier, but gender and racial bias can be barriers in the digital workplace as well as technology. Have you encountered bias in your career, and how did you handle these situations or advocate for change?
Yeah, thank you. That's another interesting one. Yeah, I mean, I have encountered bias. In fact, I'm the story girl. I mean, right now you get everything is in a story, but I think it's usually, at least how it comes to my head. Instead of saying yes or no, it's like, can I remember? Yes, I can remember. So there's one that it wasn't funny, but I think it's very descriptive. Back in my days when I was studying, and I mentioned there were not very many women there. I was in a class, econometrics actually, and I actually did better than most of my male classmates. And my male teacher, and I'm sorry, I had nothing against males, I'm just graphically saying where the bias was. So he was really astonished when he was like, rating everything. And he actually told my classmates, like everybody else, referring, and he said how they needed to do better next time. And that was kind of hard because really what he was basically saying at that point is that I wasn't good in his eyes. They were really bad. They needed to get good. I couldn't be the bar. And that stayed with me because and I know there are a lot of things that we could be talking about, but that happened back in the day. And that's something that, it was very graphic to me when I heard that. it didn't really stop me, but I think I started realizing at that point, being female and then coming here, having an accent, having your skin color, your last name, there's a lot of preconceived expectations, which are usually not in our advantage when they see, my name, or they cannot even pronounce it, or I have that accent. And I've noticed that I never let really that stop me. Again, I guess it's the Latina in me. And I think we all have biases. I myself have biases. Just the context that we have is different. We all come to the table with a different experience, life experience. So really what I do, or what I try, is to really have a more proactive approach, be more involved in really advocating for inclusive hiring practices, something that I'm loving at Taco Bell, how intentional everything is, how much everybody is welcome to really provide an opinion and really advance the way that we're doing things. Help give access. I think it's critical, because it's not just about saying that we want to bring people, is are we really bringing access? And I think things like these absolutely are going in the right direction of, having all really the nets that before maybe they didn't existed. And to me, really fostering those dialogues and really being honest and being vulnerable against something that we embrace at Taco Bell and we want to do, I think that's really critical. Diversity is a fact. We are going to become more and more diverse, even if we don't want to hire, that diversity exists. Like if you look at, intermarried kids that are interracial, and it's here. But inclusion is really a choice we all have to make if we really want these people heard, if we want to bring that diversity, and how we are really doing. So to me, the truth is that I was saying before, we all have biases, and it's really about bringing everybody that has biases as well to the table, and just really create from there.
Thank you, Silvina. That's very insightful, and I appreciate that. And everyone does have biases, and it's just how you handle it. So I appreciate you giving your experiences, and hopefully everything gets better in the future, and we can think positive.
Yes, I think having these conversations is already at least talking about that and acknowledging. And to me, at least in my own experience, I even have biases about myself. So really thinking about that and not letting those own biases actually limit me, I think it's critical.
Yeah, the awareness, 100% agree with you there. And then Madi, I would love to pass it over to you with our next question. How do you see your career in digital or marketing impacting those around you? Do you consider yourself a role model? And if so, what responsibilities come with being one? As a Latina, Latinas often serve as role models within their families and communities. So I'd love to hear your perspective and anything that you can shed light on that question.
That's a loaded question, but yeah. I believe it's a huge responsibility, and like we have to be real. After listening to these stories, I even feel it's more important to be ourselves and authentic and embracing what makes us unique. And I do consider myself as a role model. Every day I meet new people that have a similar story, or that want to come to the US or want to start a career in tech, and I just like to surround myself with people that I admire too, and I consider a lot of my friends to be role models too. And the second part of your question, I feel like what responsibilities come with it, I just try to make everyone feel like they have the same opportunities. And there are two things that I try to do as a good role model, which one is to, within my community, just ask everyone about any success story from that week, from that month, anything. Just ask around a recent achievement, not to bring, work into a personal conversation or anything like that and make it boring, but because we were taught to be humble and to if we say just that we had a good day, we had a promotion, even we feel we're bragging, but everyone should be a little bit more braggy, and just realize that sometimes people are afraid to talk about it. but we have to make ourselves like feel good about it and just like hype each other. And then the second thing I would say is how we should be conscious about imposter syndrome. Everyone has felt that, and it's just horrible. It feels like you're not like worthy of what you have, and you know, you don't get to see success as what it is. And even the most successful people have had imposter syndrome, and you're just trying to be like them without even knowing that we all have it, like they had it. And so just to look back and recognize yourself, you've like done so much, obviously. And yeah, I feel like it's a big responsibility, but we can all like support each other and we hype each other up. It's really important.
I appreciate that, Madia. And imposter syndrome, it's a real thing. I think all of us have had it at some point, maybe more recently than others, but it's so common. And I appreciate you shedding light and just your experiences that you've had. And you are a role model. So yeah, tap yourself on the back for that. That is awesome. I do have a bonus question. So I know this is kind of going to throw you guys through the loop, but I think it would be helpful for just everybody that's on this call right now. And I think even just selfishly for me too, but I would love to hear if you, and this is more time travel, so I don't have a thing for time travel, but it's just what's going on. If you could go back in time and give yourself career advice, do you have anything that you would tell your earlier start? I'll give you guys a minute and then I'll call on someone, or you guys can take yourself on mute.
To me, I think I can start, if I may. I think what I mentioned before, I think mentorship really being, for a long time, I was kind of in this journey where whatever I was good at, I was advancing, and that was okay. I didn't have that awareness that you can create, sometimes a different path. And something that happened early on in my career is that I stayed longer than I should have in certain places because I was good at what I was doing. So everybody around me, my bosses, they were not mentors. It was good that I was good and I will stay there. And I didn't have, this, which is something that I usually try to say, just continue expanding. And I think it's that imposter syndrome that gets into you when you start expanding and stretching into things that you haven't done. It's very easy to stay where you know you're good and you already know. When you start stretching is where you start doubting. And I think those are the moments that mentors that know you and know your journey can guide you on where to go. What are other paths where you could go? So I think that's absolutely something that I always try to, give that message. And I wish someone would have said that to me earlier. It's never too late though.
Yeah, I'm going to use this. I'm taking my notes right now. And then Madia, if you want to go next.
Yeah. I feel for me, I would say in my beginning in my tech career I was always measured by the hustle and the being in multiple projects. And I started to realize that if I wasn't doing anything or multiple things, I felt like a failure sometimes. So I would say to me, you need to know your worth even when you're not doing anything. And even if you're sitting still, I feel like as a Latina, you learn to work and people pleasing. But honestly, it's just trying to find what success means to you. And for me, I feel like now I'm happy to think of success as being in peace, and that way I could be successful while doing a lot of things. And right now at Taco Bell, I do a lot of projects and I love them all because I know that whenever I'm just sitting still, I also feel like I'm successful.
I love it. Thank you, Madia. That is great insight, and I think something that all of us can take back and maybe implement it now because it's never too late, like Sylvina said. Malia, let's go to you next.
Sure. I would say don't underestimate every connection you make and nurture and maintain those connections. I think in the past, I had a very negative opinion about networking. It seemed fake to me. But I've learned to realize, no, it's about building real connections and relationships with people. And the world is very small. It's crazy. You never know that one person that you may randomly run into here ends up being your boss one day. And And I look back at my career, and every job that I've ever gotten was through a connection, someone that I knew, maybe very deeply, maybe very casually. And so I wish I realized that sooner in my career. And so I encourage all of you to do the same.
I relate so much to that, Malia. I've gotten my jobs through referrals as well, and making those connections, you never know where it's going to take you. So I think that's the common theme that we're hearing with the networking and mentoring, etc. Daniel, if you could take us home with the last answer of our last question, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, so I would say use fear as a compass, which is just really lean into the things that maybe scare me, that I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do. Take the leap of faith. I moved across country in the last couple of years. I lived in a different country in the last several years. You heard me mention I ran the Grand Canyon. I can't tell you, for almost 2.5 years that kept me up at night. I thought I was going to get bit by a rattlesnake. I found all sorts of excuses of why I shouldn't do it. And so kind of really just use that piece. I think the other two things that I would strongly recommend is you got to read, right? So whether it's reading or listening to audiobooks, right? I think that's, leaders are readers, right? And then I think the last one, and Malia touched on this one, which is, you know, figuring out how you can balance your schedule so that you are, like, whether it's growing in your field. So hacking your Instagram so that it's feeding you information that's like, talking about real things and real trends, newsletters, but finding way, because once you figure out what your passion is, that doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just feeding things that you love to read and learn about. But it's like those things and the networking, the mentoring, like get started on those early, because those are the things that really kind of help you jump ahead in your career.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. And thank you all so much for your insights and your stories and vulnerability and authentic selves. We really, really appreciate it. Obviously, you guys are going to get to meet everyone very soon in our breakout session. So I will pass it over to Juana to give us a little bit more insight for what's next to come.
Thank you so much, India, and thank you so much to all of our panelists. So I'm going to actually share a screen really quickly so that you can all see the breakout rooms. That way you all know which rooms to go into. And so what's going to happen is you'll be seeing the breakout rooms button go live on the bottom panel of your screen, which you'll see where like the chat button is, the share